Boar's Head invites you to enlighten your senses. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Inspired by Japanese master chefs, our signature teriyaki glaze is crafted with garlic, ginger, and a hint of brown sugar, then paired with our tender, slow-roasted chicken breast for a flavor that's sweet, savory, remarkably bold. Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken, the bold flavor of Japan, now at the deli. Compromise elsewhere.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another conversation. Today, we have Howard Ramsamsugh. He was born in Jamaica. He came to the U.S. in 1990 on a track scholarship to Johnson County Community College. Howard then transferred to Chicago State University in 1992 and graduated with a BS in economics. Currently, Ramsamsugh is a financial planner in the Chicago area with more than 15 years' experience. He holds the Chartered Mutual Fund Counselor, which is the CMFC designation issued by the College of Financial Planning, and certified in long-term care issued by the Long-Term Care Corporation. Howard works with individuals to develop a strong financial plan that will last throughout retirement. He is committed to helping people achieve financial success. He's currently working on a project called Restoring America's Finances and writing a financial planning book. A frequent guest in the media, he writes articles, makes radio and TV appearances that focuses on increasing finances. And his website is howardramsamsugh.com. His other website is polarisadvice.com. As usual, my co-host from Let's Get Mobile and Social, Chris Daly. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Janice, and welcome, Howard, to our conversation this evening. It's good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd like to get to know you a little more. We know you were born in Jamaica. Tell us a little about your Jamaican experience and roots.
Well, my dad is Jamaican. He met my mom in England, and she's Trinidadian. She followed him back to Jamaica, and then they had me. So my dad is born in Jamaica. My mom is in Trinidad. My brother was born in England, and I was born in Jamaica.
Good. All right. So you went to school in Jamaica, and
yeah, I went to school in Knox College. And I was born there, and I was living in Santa Cruz. Then I went to Knox College, ran track there, and then after that transferred to St. Elizabeth Technical, as they were a better track team, and I was told to go there so that would prepare me better to get a scholarship from there to the United States.
Okay, so entrepreneurship is in your blood here. I see you study economics in college. What got you on that kind of career track?
Coincidence. Economics was the easiest topic or area of study that I seem to comprehend really well, and I figured, why don't I just go with what I understand well? And it proved to be a good choice by luck, I guess.
Good. You further honed that by becoming a financial planner. First, tell us what, in layman's terms, what a financial planner is, and what motivated you to steer your career in that direction.
A financial planner is the discipline of financial planning is really about how do you listen, gather information from someone, and then turn that information into a real plan for someone. So it's more of a process than actually like selling a product itself. It's more of a process. Products do sometimes come into account. I left school in 1992, and I went to look for jobs at the time, and they were doing the salary thing, and they were paying way too low in my opinion. And I just figured, hey, let me just hit the pavement, going on my own, and I started working with Prudential. After that, from reading a magazine article in Black Enterprise in which they said students should contact Black Prudential, and that's how I ended up when I literally graduated from school. Then they took me on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's wonderful because in certain times a lot of folks are not that courageous to launch out like that, but you certainly did. But you deal with people who still are uncertain. They're struggling with a lot of debt, and this uncertainty of their family's future give them sleepless nights. What are some of the criteria? And so they may turn to a professional like yourself. And why should they consider going the professional route as opposed to the way they normally do it? And what do you offer them?
I think the number one reason why you should go to a financial planner now is that it's not expensive anymore. Traditionally, people had to have a lot of money and they had to pay $2,000 for a plan. Today is quite different. You don't have to do that. I think also what people benefit from is, specifically for my case, I've talked to so many people in the last 15 years that there are so many different circumstances that I've dealt with that when I talk to somebody new, they now are able to tap into 15 years of dealing with many different people situation. And so I think that's probably the best reason why you work with a financial planner. Is no longer do you have to be limited to what you're doing and what your thoughts are, but you have that long reservoir of ideas and experience that person can bring to bear in your situation.
So you bring a wealth of experience from over these 15 years. It's not the surface depth. This is really good stuff that you really bring to bear. But even
really good stuff.
The career choice of financial empowerment sometimes lumped in with Wall Street. People would call them robber barons that caused the financial meltdown in 2007. And so some folks may be a little wary of the professional. What can you say to somewhat give folks an assurance of the kind of professionalism you bring to bear?
I'll say this, and I'll give you all some information there. The project Restoring America's, with an S, Finances, people can Google that. I'll repeat it, Restoring America's, with an S, Finances. And when you go there, it will take you right to howardramsamugh.com, because I know Ramsamugh is hard to pronounce and to spell.
Okay.
But what I did is I started with the 2008 crash, and I explained that in the article there. I forgot the name of it, but people should tap into that, especially the Jamaicans. This is a resource that you now know since you're hearing me. And
could you repeat that website again?
Howard Ramsamugh, RAM as in Montana, SAM as in Montana, UGH.com. And that takes you directly to it. So what I start doing now is start doing a lot more writing so that people who may hear me on the radio or may have seen me somewhere, or my own clients, that when I talk about something, if they forget, they could go to the website, they could take a 2-page article, and they now can catch up to speed. And so, you talk to somebody, and you got it meanwhile you were talking to them, but when you leave, you don't remember exactly what they said. This kind of support. So that's what I'm starting to do, is to give people support that they can just go to that site when they feel like, and when they can feel like they want to explain something to an aunt, a cousin, a brother, a sister, a friend, that they have that resources right there.
Okay, that's wonderful. The folks, that's a great resource that we can take advantage of. So we have Mr. and Mrs. Jones. They went there. They found that website, and they support. This is a really good resource that Howard has given us. We'd like to consider getting some financial planning. Lead us down your approach in engaging this couple in getting them on the straight and narrow. Straight and narrow.
Well, when I meet a client, I blank my mind from what being a financial planner, and I want to just make sure that I'm a good listener and understand their situation. After understanding their situation, then I start formatting a vision for the person who's telling me their situation. And a lot of people may be a teacher or a doctor, whatever they are, but they're doing the day-to-day stuff, but they really don't have a good vision for what their potential are, simply because they're not in the business of that. And so when I listen, then I kind of chart myself to a vision of what they said and what I see for them, and ask them, does that stand up to what they think they could achieve? And upon that agreement, then we start working on how do we put that in place. If a person has a good vision in the start, then we try to plot ourselves there. And that's what I said. It's not about products, because when I'm talking and when I'm in the planning stage, we never talk about products. We talk about how do we get from here to here, and then when we get to that last stage of implementing, then maybe we need products to help implement that. But products is not a part of the dialogue of what should we be doing and what are the resources we need to get to where we're going.
If I could summarize, basically you're trying to tease out of that couple, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what their vision is, what their goals are, what their resources are, and then you can develop a blueprint for them to implement over a long time horizon. Yes,
individual to them. So what I say to one couple, I may not say to another couple. Everybody's different. It takes into account their personality, their experience so far, and also their how good they interpret or understand the things that I'm saying, for me to say where should we start and how would we want to implement something. If someone with a great understanding, you could go further. Someone who you think maybe not getting it as much, then we kind of make baby steps or smaller steps, just making sure that they understand what we're trying to do and where we're going. And then the plan unfolds over years, so it eventually comes into play as we work at it.
Okay, great. Are there certain investment instruments that you consider should be a part of a portfolio that usually is common to most of the engagements that you involved with?
Yeah, well, I'll say yes and no. I never discuss in public any particular investment product or plan, simply because each person is different, and I'll contradict myself 100 times based on a different person's situation. But what I would say is that I think it's important to have a solid foundation on understanding the different kind of financial instruments, and that's where your reading come in, and that process, I say, of adding more articles and just giving a monthly or a quarterly resource for people to just add to their knowledge. Eventually, they become so adept and so well coached on it that they go on to do even greater things than that.
Okay, that's wonderful. We're talking particularly to a Jamaican audience, and some of their commitments is actually back on the island of Jamaica.
Okay.
How would you shape, given that additional instrument, and now 20% of Jamaica's GDP is remittances and that kind of give back, how do you take that kind of particulars into play when you are engaging with Jamaican customers?
The transformation I really think is good for Jamaicans is when we send money back or send things back of value, that we start really laying the groundwork for having that money on that end start working better for the people who we're sending it to. And I think we probably historically have just sent a certain amount of money, they use it for whatever they need, and we need to really change that in terms of, okay, I send money this month or every month, and how could you make that be something more once it gets there before finally using it? It's very important that the emotional part and the inspirational part of money. So if we could grow it, we should always try to grow and have the maximum use of money. And that's what I'm getting at. And Jamaica would be a lot better if we collectively, this doesn't take money, it takes vision. If when we receive money, we are actively looking for ways to make that money bounce maybe one time before we actually spend it. Okay. And if we do that, what is going to be found. You asked me because I'm not major in economics, but what you'll find is that 20% remittance you're talking about will start creating more consumption in Jamaica, and that will create the economic environment that we want. I'm not so big on government selling bonds or those kind of ideas, because one thing that governments will do is once money get paid to a general fund, then they create new spending and they do other things and they can absorb that.
So our next question is about this. There's a big push. This is the 50th year from Jamaica, and there's a big push on this Jamaican diaspora bond. And you have some caution about engaging with this instrument.
Yes,
because
I have.
It's not been done. It's been done by a government whose track record hasn't been one as stellar as far as good stewardship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am much more into the thought of more of a venture capitalist approach. So money sent into a venture capitalist firm that may be overlooked by the government. That's totally fine, but not money that is going to pay bondholders back from a general fund, because government is the IMF many times when we were younger. The good infrastructure when it comes to roads in Jamaica, that should have been built in the 70s. That hurt us tremendously that it wasn't built in the 70s. But now we have it this late. We always had a great institution for higher learning. We always had a very smart, educated group of people. I'm so proud of being one of them. From Jamaica, we should be really proud of that. But what we really have to have is that other entrepreneurial part. And the hardest thing for small business people here or in Jamaica is access to capital.
Okay.
That has always been the biggest problem. So I am much more in favor of Jamaicans pooling their money together in some form of a venture capitalist firm that will say, okay, we're going to make a certain number, $1 million of loans to each parish. And here are applicants who think that they could qualify for these loans. We're going to look at them, who's most convincing, who we think are best at carrying out their business plan. That's what we're going to fund.
I like that approach. So you're talking about people going to do due diligence and not using it as political power to actually grow the economy of Jamaica, but it's going to bring a discipline to our economic system that we do not currently have.
Exactly. I'll give you one quick example. And I don't get political simply because of what I do. Some people I represent may be Democrats, some people may be Republicans or independent. So I don't get into that. However, I will say, look at New Jersey. It is reported that the governor did not approve a high-speed rail project for political reasons.
Right.
So
one to New York.
Exactly, and that could have created so many jobs. It was shovel ready. It was in the midst. Now I don't have any proof of why he did it, but I know his public statements does not link up with reality.
He was saying that, if I recall, he was saying that the amount that was projected to the cost factor was like $5 billion, but the real cost factor was like $11 billion, and there was not enough other funding sources than the government to actually make that up, and he didn't think the government was in a position to actually take on that burden at that time.
Exactly, and that's the problem I have with politicians. Power is a funny thing, and when you put politicians who rely on the public for votes in charge, people want to manipulate things, and so I'm moving back more to individual wealth. If individuals have more wealth, and don't get this confused with Jamaica and America, they're two different countries, one developed, one not as developed. But where we are in Jamaica, having money in individual hands that boosts consumption and boosts investments is better than an approach where our government have not proven that they can really run things on an unbiased way without cronyism and without other things. And I don't really think Jamaicans are that confident in their government to implement something like that. So I think more of a venture capitalist firm is a better way. Could be overseen by the government. There's no problem with overseeing. What I'm talking about is that entrepreneurial spirit and that caution. If it's in a venture capitalist firm, somebody's evaluating these loans, evaluating these projects. You see what I'm saying? So that's a push that I would advocate strongly. And the government and good leadership from the government standpoint could really push that to encourage people to be more entrepreneurial.
Given the wisdom you've just shared, I'm going to promote you. I'm going to promote you to a position where I'm going to give you a wand, where we know Jamaica's debt to GDP ratio is really very close to that of Greece. And your assignment, should you take it, is to get us on a path of reducing our debt to make sure we have a sustainable economy. What are some of the principles you would share and get us on a path of physical sanity?
For Jamaicans here in Jamaica, I would say number one, really focus on families, individual families saving more, And the second thing is pooling through families or friends. It doesn't have to be family, because sometimes a good business friend could be a good business partner. Pooling money for the benefit of doing business, as opposed to just leaving money in the bank and let it grow. You could be really great at growing your assets, and you could save a lot of money. But if you haven't invested in a way that creates wealth, create job opportunity, create profit, then the money that you have in the bank it's the same amount of money. And we know in Jamaica inflation is so high, leaving it in the bank without actually working your own money is kind of counterproductive also. So as long as one have enough liquidity in their Jamaican situation, I would simply say people should save more and start having more conversations with their friends and with their family about here I've saved this much, and I know 10 people who are saving this much. What is anyone looking for funding based on a good idea? And let's look at it individually and collectively, and let's see if we could help each other to create opportunities. That's what I would say.
You need to have some more capital formation, you're saying?
Yes, more capital formation. Yes, more capital formation to create jobs and to create the kind of savings that people can sustain bigger levels of savings in the future. If someone have a certain amount of money and they're not using it, that wealth is not really growing fast enough. So sometimes we need to break that up. We need to stay liquid, but there's monies that we should be working, and a venture capitalist firm, I think, is a great way. We put professionals there who understand how to lend money and what kind of situations you lend money in. Okay.
There's one financial instrument it's very colloquial to Jamaica, and it has a lot of social implication. It's the partner, where people, pool monies together in a trust situation.
Yes.
And then they share that. What are some of the benefits that you see of that, and even can that be improved upon as to give us another means of wealth creation?
I don't really think that creates wealth. I really don't.
Okay.
However,
it's a consumption thing?
Yeah, I really don't think it creates wealth, because you're taking the same amount of money. Nobody's getting interest on the money. It's just a different person's turn to receive the money. So it does help to rotate that pool. But I am for it in the sense that if 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 people are in a pool, and that is the way in which they're going to save because they're not going to get it done any other way, then I think that the inspirational part of it is just as great as doing more with it in a more traditional way or looking for opportunities. And so I think you could do that, and that could also be the help for why somebody got something funded again in terms of some little project they wanted to do. We always remember when we were in Jamaica, many times people always want to buy a car so they could run taxi. You remember that? Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be that big of a purchase, but if that scenario can result in someone funding something to help them create money in the future. It's that anything that does that, I think should be encouraged and should continue. As a financial planner, I can't encourage people giving money to without a structured environment. So I can't go as far as that. But I understand the practice, and I think that practice could work very, very good for people who believe in it. The fact is belief. If you believe in something, you'll do it. If you don't believe in something, you won't do it. And we have the belief in that system for so many years. I think just build on top of it. Now, what do you use the money for? Not just, I got the money now and I'm going to buy more consumer goods with it. No, what can you buy? Can you buy a printer? And will that printer help you to do your work more effectively now? Not going to the grocery store or those kind of purchases.
Not another dozen patties.
Right.
Okay. Boy, you had a lot of wisdom for us this evening, Howard. And in closing, is there any final thing you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I read Barack Obama book, and I was inspired myself to do certain things, and he's an inspiration to me. And what I would say to all Jamaicans is, be very inspired and motivated about your future being better than it was yesterday. I know a lot of people are hurting with lower mortgage balances in terms of the value of their homes and stuff. And be proactive in terms of go out and do the things that you're thinking and you know are right. You know you could do better in certain instances. Get it right. If you have family issues, get the courage to do whatever it takes that you deem is right to get that right. But just be more proactive and just be inspired by your own existence. And if you do that and tap into other good people, you will see that there's a lot more great things in store for all of us.
Wonderful advice.
And to learn more about Howard, visit Howard Ramsamsugh, which is Howard, RAMSAMUGH. You can also visit him at Polaris Advice to learn more about Chris Daly. It's Let's Get Mobile and Social. Also, Jamaicans.com. His blog is Me Thinking Are You. And to learn more about Jamaican Diaspora, visit JamaicanDiaspora.com.
Howard, thank you so much for your insight and continued success to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
Find coverage based on your budget today. Stay in control of your spending. Insurance and your wallet splendidly blending. Be so happy, pappy, you'll just want to dance. Found a policy that fits you like painted on pants.
Get insurance based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Every day, there are so many missed business opportunities.
Sorry, left that file on my work computer.
So many barriers to working together.
Sorry, can't access that file on my phone.
But today, Microsoft Office 365 offers lots of new features to help you be productive anywhere. Like editing office files on phones and tablets, easy one-click video conferencing, a free terabyte of secured cloud storage.
Sorry, wait, really? Wow, that's awesome.
Go to tryofficenow.com to start your free 30-day business trial of Office 365. That's tryofficenow.com.